So in this video, I'm going to give you all 7 tips to buy and sell in the current market here in 2023. Stay tuned. All right, so before we get started, I do want to say thank you to all those who have subscribed to the channel so far. Really does mean a lot. I'm still a small channel, so it does mean a lot to have some support. So please remember to like this video, subscribe. I'm trying to bring out daily shorts, weekly videos that are good content. So we're gonna hop right into this. So I'm gonna give you guys 2 sections. I'm gonna give you 4 tips on buying and 3 tips on selling. This is gonna be for the current year 2023. These tips may change. Probably still gonna be some good advice in the years to come, but let's roll right into the video. So we're gonna start with buying, and these tips are good for right now. Like I said, they may change with the way rates are currently right now. These are going to be some good solid tips that you all as buyers can follow. There's going to be 4 of them and 3 for sellers at the end. So tip number 1, don't overpay for a house. It sounds simple, but you can easily overpay for a house. Biggest thing I could say is don't get involved in a bidding war with another buyer. You've heard me say this kind of in some other videos, but overpaying for a house is costly. Why would you want to overpay for something when it's not worth it? You'll end up hurting yourself later in the future. So this is where having a good real estate agent is definitely going to be key. Have them run the comps, see what that house is currently worth. If you end up paying a couple of thousand over, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that because you'll get that back later in appreciation and equity. But when you spend 10,000 over cost, sometimes even 5,000 over cost is way too much. That's when you're really starting to hurt yourself. Because what if no one has a crystal ball, we can't see into the future, but what if the market does crash? What if it doesn't necessarily crash, it just goes down? Well, then you could be out 10, 20, 30, who knows how many thousands of dollars by overpaying for that house. So another quick piece of advice, if you get the appraisal back, if you're already in contract and it comes back significantly lower, and if it's a couple thousand, don't worry about it. But if it's significantly lower than what you put an offer for, don't pay for it. Don't just say, well, I really want this house, so I'll overpay for it. That, not to say that's the only thing that contributed to 2008's crash, but it definitely helped. Banks were just giving out loans. People were saying they made way more than they actually made. People were overpaying for houses. So there was definitely a lot more to 2008 than just overpaying, but you kind of see how overpaying can easily hurt you. Tip number 2, don't be afraid of the interest rates right now. Even though, yes, they're higher than we may have seen, in the past couple of years when they were at historic lows. Historically, rates, if you look at from 1971 until now, rates have averaged about 7.75%. Right now, that's close to what the rates are. Some people have good credit, so they can get lower in the lower 6s, but they're not too off from historic averages. So don't be afraid of if a lender says, hey, I can give you 6.5%. There's nothing wrong with that. So if you don't overpay for a house, which was tip number 1, it shouldn't affect you that much. If you pay for a house and you know the pricing, you know exactly what you want to spend, your agent run those comps, knows how much it's worth, the appraisal come back and it's good, and you don't overpay, you have pretty good solid credit, you're not getting charged extra interest for having bad credit. If all those kind of things line up, don't be afraid of getting a house and getting an interest rate. It is much better to buy than to rent. There's a saying that I have, and I got it from one of my mentors: buy once and buy right. You get the right mortgage, you pay the right price for a house, even if the rate is a little higher, you'll still come out on top. Here's tip number 3. Get pre-qualified, but here's the key part, and stay there. It is so easy to mess up your credit. It's very easy to mess up getting pre-qualified. You might get pre-qualified and then go spend a whole bunch of money, open up credit cards, buy a new car, all kinds of stuff. Don't do that. If you get pre-approved, stay right where you're at. Don't buy another car. Don't open up, don't go financing furniture. Don't do any of that. Just leave your credit alone until you find a house, you put in an offer, you sign for it, you get the keys, then you can go finance your furniture. Then you can go get a car. But wait until that happens first. So an important part for us as agents is knowing exactly how much you qualify for. Because we can't help you as agents if you just come to us and say, hey, I want to see a $500,000 house, but you're really only approved for $300,000. I know I've been in that situation early in my career. Don't think that we as agents can just magically make things happen. We can't. So get pre-qualified, then find a good agent. That is the first 2 steps to getting a house. So tip number 4. Don't rush to get into a house just to have a house. I don't know how many times I've said this, and it is so true every single time. And I think it's more important now in 2023 than it's ever been before. Rushing into a house, overpaying, not waiting, not letting more inventory hit the market, you can just be shooting yourself in the foot by not waiting, by not being kind of picky about the house you get. Now, I'm not saying you gotta want everything in the house, but you have to do your due diligence. You have to inspect the house. You got to do all kinds of things. So don't rush the process. Be ready to move, be ready to act, be ready to sign papers when you do find that house, but don't just rush into it. So right now, with rates coming down a little bit, they may come down even farther over the summer and the fall. Let's hope that they do. If they do, that could mean more buyers are willing to sell because they know more people can actually buy. So that may increase the inventory. So that may give you an opportunity to actually buy something that you really, really want. So I think I said this in one of my other videos too, but don't buy something just to buy it. This is something I'm going to constantly repeat. You will not be happy if you buy something just to buy it. So all you sellers out there, I haven't forgotten about you. Definitely have some good tips for sellers. Got 3 important tips, 3 tips that I really want to share with you. So let's jump into the first one. So in this market that we're in, with not a lot of inventory, you kind of want your house to stand out. So tip number 1 is have your house looking as good as you can afford it. If you can afford to paint the house inside and out, and fix any damages, maybe you got a dog, they decided to chew on the baseboards. If you can do little things like that just to kind of fix the cosmetic appearance of a house, that'll greatly increase your chances of finding a buyer that likes your house. Now, if you can afford to do more and it's not over improving for the area, things like improving the kitchen, improving the master bedroom and bathroom, definitely do that. If you can afford it, if it's not going to put you in the negative after selling, definitely do that, because people love to come into a house that feels new, it looks new, you can tell quality work was put into it. Especially right now, people don't want to come into a house and have to spend, $30,000-$40,000 renovating it. People are still trying to recover from the pandemic we had financially. People are still trying to recover from potential talks of recession, interest rates going high. So if you can afford to put good money into your house and it won't hurt you, please do it. So here's tip number 2. Kind of what I'm seeing in my area and some other agents are seeing as well. I know there's certain markets that are probably always, going. There's probably tons of offers here and there. But if you're in a smaller market or a mid market, don't expect to have too many offers, at least not at first. You may get lucky, you may just have perfect timing and get a ton of offers, but don't expect to have a ton of offers like we, kind of were having 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It's just not happening right now. It may take some time to sell your house. Depends on the average days on market for your area. Check with your agent. They should know that. I think as of right now, our average days on market is about 25 to 30 days, which is not too bad. It was a lot lower than that. It's definitely been higher than that. But that's something to keep in mind, is that it may not sell in 1 to 2 weeks. So if you have an agent that's telling you, I guarantee you I can sell this house in 1 week, either they literally already have a buyer lined up or they're just lying to you. So here's the third and final tip for all of you sellers out there. This is something that is kind of flipped back and forth over the years. It's gone from one to the other. Right now, it seems like sellers are paying more of the closing costs. So that's tip number 3. Don't be afraid to pay some closing costs to sell your house. If you got to spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 towards your buyer's closing costs, don't be afraid to do that, especially if it means you can close the deal. You can get a lot on your house. You have a lot of equity, and it's a perfect situation. Don't be afraid to pay a couple of thousand, because in the grand scheme of things, what's $5,000-$6,000 compared to if you have $100,000, $150,000 of equity? It's really nothing. Another thing that you can do is if you get a repair list, from the potential buyer, and they say, hey, look, we had an inspection done, here's a potential repair list we want done. Instead of you spending the money to go out and hire people and maybe potentially delaying the closing, just say, hey, the estimated work is $3,000. I'll give you, $2,500 towards closing costs to remedy all of these in lieu of that, and I don't have to pay any of the costs. Most of the time, buyers are gonna say, yes, absolutely, let me get that. I'll take care of it on my own. I've been kind of wanting to do some extra things to the house anyways. I'll take care of it. Sometimes all it takes is a little extra cash. So I want to thank everyone for watching this video. Hopefully you found these tips helpful. If you want some more help or some more advice, you want some extra tips and whatnot, please leave a comment down below asking me a question. I love answering questions all the time. Please feel free to like this video, subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out a lot, and I will see y'all in the next video.